What's up, everybody? This is Jackson Bloor. I wanted to finish the rest of my presentation that I didn't get to when we were at the business movement. So when I finished off, we'd gone through testimonials, and I had showed you what makes a great testimonial and how to actually throw that up on your website. But I didn't get to do the website breakdown that I wanted to do, and I think that would be very valuable. So we're going to go through that now. It should take just a few minutes. So first thing I wanted to mention is that you have to think of what the goal is for your business and then what the subsequent goal is for your actual website. So wanted to break that down. Think of goal for your business. That's the most important thing to think about. And then secondarily, what is the goal for your website? So if the goal for your business is to increase your prices or get more clients, or simply get more leads, any of those three would work. Then the goal for your website is going to be to probably schedule a free session or to get them to at least come into the gym, right, as quick as possible. Also, if the goal for your business is to maybe get some online coaching clients, then the goal for your website is going to be probably to add people to your email list. If the goal for your business is to, just create awareness for you at this point because you're already fully booked and you don't really want to do anything else, so you just want to have a website that has information on there, then the goal of your website is simply going to be to obviously just provide information on your services and not to really do any specific call to action. But I think for most people, and for the website, or for my website at least currently, the goal is for my business to get as many leads as possible, get as many qualified leads as possible in the door. So if that's my goal for my business, get qualified leads in the door, that way I can create a waiting list, that way I have high demand, that way I can charge higher prices, and that way I can get very good clients who that I really want to work with. Then the goal for my website is going to be to get them in the door as fast as possible. So that being said, my goal is to schedule a free session because I want to get them in the door so I can show what kind of value I have, so I can connect with them, and then I can more easily sell them on my services in person. It's much harder to sell people on your services online than it is to sell them in person, so get them in the door first. Okay, so I want to show you quickly what most typical websites for personal trainers that I see look like. Something like this. There's some type of menu here at the top, some type of slider image where you have a lot of different images. That's all kind of happening here above the fold. Not really any type of social proof, and there's certainly no clear call to action. So if you come to a website like this, what are you thinking? You're thinking, what's the call to action? So you have to get in the mind of the person that's viewing the website, especially if you're trying to convert cold traffic. So if you have somebody that just happens to click on your website or does a Google search on personal trainers in whatever your area is and comes across your website, you have to think about that person. They get to your website, there's a menu at the top and then some slider images. They're just sort of poking around and browsing. What are they going to do first? They're going to kind of look up at this menu. There's a lot of different options. There's a slider thing that doesn't really add a lot of value or really provide any specific information or any specific call to action that's taking up all this real estate. So what do you want them to do? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 7 different things that they possibly could do here. So they might feel overwhelmed. They might just X out. They might kind of scroll down. If they scroll down, there's a lot of text here. We finally have some social proof over here, but a lot of text. What are the odds they're actually going to read all this text? Probably very, very minimally or minimal. They're most likely not going to read most of that text. So think about, again, what we talked about. Goal of business, then goal of website. If the goal of the website, at least in this example that I'm giving here, is going to be to get them in for a free session so you can get more leads, so then you can obviously make more money, have more clients. If the goal is to get them in the door, then this would be a poor example of that because there's no clear call to action to get them in the door. And if your website looks anything like this, where it has this big slider, then all these menu options at the top, I would suggest maybe trying a little bit of a different approach that's a little bit more specific. So what I mean by that is, let's pull up my website. Not saying mine's the best or the only way of doing it, but it does convert fairly well, and I have statistics to back that up. So this website page, this is my main landing page, actionjacksonfitness.com, converts at 8%. That means out of all the people we send to this page, which is not a lot, because most people who are on my email list are, already current clients of mine or blogs I write with social media, we send people to my blog. So we take them directly to the blog page, which is actionjackson.fitness/blog. We don't take them to this main landing page. But this main landing page, we take only people who we feel are qualified to actually schedule a session. So that's anybody through our Facebook ads comes to this page, or people who click on us from Yelp come to this page, or people who just search for personal trainers in San Francisco and find my website, they come to this page as well. So anybody who is a maybe not a, I wouldn't consider them a prospect, but a suspect at this point. They're kind of suspect. They're kind of interested in personal training. They've done a Google search, they've done a Yelp search, or they've come in through a Facebook ad. And when they get to this site, they convert at 8%. That means 8% of those people actually schedule a session to show up at the gym and meet me to further discuss personal training, to get a free session, to get a workout in, and to further discuss personal training. That's a very good conversion rate. So think about your website. What does it convert on cold traffic? If you don't know, that's something you probably should be tracking. And if you don't get any cold traffic come into the gym to meet you for personal training, then I would say that would be indicative that your website's not doing a very good job of converting. So maybe rethinking it and trying a test for a short period of time to see if a different approach would work. So here we go. This is my website. So the first thing you got to think about is everything that shows up above the fold. Above the fold means everything that they see before they have to start scrolling down. So everything that shows up before the fold is very intentional and very specific to get them to take a specific action. The specific action I want them to do when they come to this page, so even though there's a couple of other things going on here, is to click this button here that says schedule my free session. If they do that, they hit this drop down that gets their name, their email, their phone number, and they have the ability to schedule their free session. So that is the number one action I want them to take when they get to this page, and everything on this page is literally trying to get them to do that. The only other possible thing they could do on this page is obviously click the video. And if they click the video, they're going to watch that inspirational sort of Action Jackson Fitness video where I'm working out with my clients. It's providing a ton of social proof, and it's going to hopefully entice them to click on the button here to schedule their free session. So they have two options. Click on this video, which is going to entice them to schedule a session with me, or click and just immediately schedule a session. But let's walk through all the elements and I'll show you exactly how this is happening. So the first thing we have over here in this top corner is social proof. Best of San Francisco magazine winner, 2015. So social proof, boom. They see this, that adds a lot of credibility immediately in their mind about my service and what I provide. So lots of social proof. If you have something like this, I would highly suggest adding it, especially up here at the top. Next thing they have, my logo. That doesn't mean anything to them. Honestly, my logo is probably filling space more than anything else here. When I set up the page without it, it just sort of looked weird. So that's why I put the logo in there, to be quite honest. But nobody gets excited when they see Action Jackson Fitness except for me, unless they're a current client of mine and have a very, very high affinity to me. But a cold traffic who comes in and sees my website, they don't get excited when they see my logo. Only I get excited when I see my logo. So this, again, is just sort of making the page have a good look and feel. It doesn't really add a ton of strategic value, unfortunately. Because, again, people care about themselves. They don't really care about my logo. Call to schedule a free session. You'd think this is to try to get people to pick up the phone. But it's really not, because most people are not going to pick up the phone because they're just not that ambitious to call me, and they're kind of worried that I might actually get on the phone, and that might freak them out in the moment. So this is really more or less just to show that I'm a human being, and you could get in touch with me if you want. Hey, this is a human being. This is a real business. This isn't just some page trying to get your email address so they can spam you. Like, there's a real person on the other end. And occasionally I do get phone calls, but the actual number of people who will bust out their phone right here in the moment and call is pretty low. Next thing I have is the sign up now and schedule a free session. So a suggestion, sign up and schedule a free session, giving something great away. But the text that's really large that I really want them to read, I don't care if they read the sign up and schedule a free session now, but I care if they see this, San Francisco Magazine's best personal trainer for abs. That is important to me because, again, that's social proof. That's being very specific about who I train, what I do for them, and how good I am at it. That's what that's telling them. So you want to have some type of headline here that's going to be enticing, that's going to provide social proof, and be very clear about what it is that you do. Maybe it's, and I mean, this is subjective, but it could say something along the lines of San Francisco's, best body transformation expert, or San Francisco's, best female fat loss trainer. Anything you can do there. Get creative. You're a smart person. Get creative with what you want to put in there. Here, if you don't have a great video, put an image here of you working with a client. You probably have a great image of you sitting down, or not sitting down, but working with a client, engaging with a client, a smile on your face. Put an image there. If I didn't have this video, I would just put an image there that shows you engaging with a client, working with them, and that gives people an indication. Make sure that the client in the photo or that's in the video is going to be your target market. That's who you want to actually schedule sessions. And again, if you don't have the video, no worries, just put a picture there. It's totally fine. It'll work. Maybe not quite as well, but it'll still work. Here we have a headline, ready to transform your body. Just something to kind of entice them. Again, look at the text. So that stands out. And then what stands out here is burn fat, build muscle, get ripped. The rest of the text, I don't care if they read, but if they do, it's going to be, again, very favorable. Men's Health model and San Francisco Magazine's best personal trainer for abs, Jackson Bloor. So again, social proof, social proof, social proof. So I'm just hitting over the head and beating them down with social proof, showing who I am, who I work with, and what I do. And then the button here is schedule my free session. This button here, why is this a button and not just a form that has a name, email, and then a button? Well, there's this company called Leadpages out there. Great software. They create landing page software similar to what you can do here with this page, and they did all these studies and they have all this research and statistics on what gets people to click, and they've found overwhelmingly that buttons where people can click a button and then a pop-up shows up like this, getting people to capture their information, works much better than just having the form directly in the page. Don't know why, just know that it's a fact and that it's true. So I would highly suggest you go with just a button here that's going to click and draw a pop-up than actually having the actual form on the page. It converts better. Again, I don't know why. They don't know why either. They just know that that is the case. So that's everything above the fold. Now, if the person is still not convinced, even by this, even if they watch the video, if they still are like, I don't know, let me see what else is here, they're going to scroll down, and the first thing they're going to see is these media badges, which is going to be ESPN, Nike, Men's Health, Men's Fitness, Muscle and Fitness, and Bodybuilding.com. So this is, again, just says who I've worked with to, again, create some more social proof. You don't have to have these companies that you've worked with in order to necessarily have some social proof here. It doesn't have to be Nike and ESPN. Like, let's say you worked at the Nike store. You can certainly make the claim then that you've worked for or that you've worked with Nike or in some capacity of that. Or let's say you had an article and or a photo that was featured on bodybuilding.com. Or maybe your story, a transformation story that was featured on bodybuilding.com. Well, bam, put bodybuilding.com there. I could certainly, if I didn't have anything else, you could certainly put things like Diakati Body here. Maybe San Francisco. Maybe you did an event or something with San Francisco Magazine, or any of the local companies here in San Francisco. Local companies would work really well here too, because your target market of people who you want to convert to come in for personal training are going to be local to San Francisco. So local companies would add credibility here. So, I mean, any companies that you've worked with locally, bam, you could put them there. Max's Muscle, you could put that there if you worked with them. Fitness SF, Equinox, whoever. So if you were a trainer at Equinox or a Sports Club LA, Fitness SF, if any of those, you can add those here. That's going to create credibility for you. Almost anything, honestly. Just get creative with it to figure out who you can put there that's going to add some credibility. Again, it doesn't have to be ESPN, Nike, and Men's Health and Men's Fitness. It can be other companies. And if you still can't figure out ones that you have, or you can't come up with anything, then get some. It's not as important as the stuff above the fold, but it is important. Everything is strategic. So if you don't have any, how can you get them? Well, guest post for bodybuilding.com. Do a guest post for them. Then you'll be able to then put bodybuilding.com's logo, very ethically, you'll be able to put their logo on your page and say, I've worked with them. Do a guest post for T Nation. Go ahead, submit an article, get it published on T Nation, and then you can put T Nation there. Guest post for Men's Health Online. Submit an article, get it published, and then you can put that there. So these are all ways of gaining credibility and then being able to put that logo. Once you get an article, say, submitted and published on bodybuilding.com, number one, it's there forever, which is awesome. But number two, you can forever use bodybuilding.com's logo as an association with you because you've got an article published on them. So now you've worked with them technically, and you can use that forever. That is going to be very powerful for the rest of your career and your business. So do that, put that work in and get it done if you don't have anything. But again, get creative, think a little bit. I'm sure you've worked at a store. I'm sure you've done something with a company that would sound really good here, even if it's a local company. What makes Action Jackson Fitness different? We don't sell you personal training sessions. So this text right here, it's not critically important. It's really just a section breaker, to be quite honest. I don't really anticipate that people read this, although if they do, of course, it's going to be strategic, but most likely people probably aren't going to read this. They get here, they start to scroll down, these catch their eye, these logos here, they're like, oh, they think great. And then immediately what happens is there's these pictures down here, these before and after photos, and their eye immediately catches and drives right down to the before and after photos because that's really much more interesting than this text is. But at the chance they're very methodical and detailed and they do read it, we don't sell you personal training sessions. I say that because I'm trying to get people out of the hour mindset of their buying hours. You don't want them to think about buying hours. If you want to scale up your prices and charge a lot more, you have to think about in terms of selling a result. You are selling people a result, and that's why you can charge more money. So get rid of the hourly thinking, and that's what I'm trying to implant in the head of the person that's on this website is we don't sell you personal training sessions. Okay, wow, interesting. I'm not buying sessions. Then what am I buying? If you want that, please go to a big box gym or talk to some part-time personal trainer trying to finance a surfing habit. I'm taking a little bit of a knock at the industry there, absolutely, and maybe that's not a great way to go, but that's just kind of my style. And then I go on to say, at Action Jackson Fitness, we only sell results, and we have plenty of proof that our programs work. So I'm trying to get them out of the mindset of thinking about buying personal training hours or sessions. Then I'm telling them very specifically, if you want that, if you just want to buy sessions and hours, go to a big box gym or talk to some part-time trainer. I don't do that. So I'm excluding people right there off the bat. I'm trying to exclude them. So if that's what they're interested in, they can go somewhere else. And I'm completely fine with that because that's not the type of clientele I want to work with. And I'm sure most people who've had personal trainers have all had those personal trainers who are kind of part-time, don't take it very seriously. And that's kind of what I'm alluding to there. I'm suggesting that I take it more serious than that. So I want serious applicants only, people who are really serious about working out. That's just who I like to work with. And then I say we sell results. So I'm telling them very specifically, I'm not selling you sessions. We are selling results here. So they are sitting down with me to buy an end result. They're not sitting down with me to purchase hours. So I don't work hourly, I sell results. That's why I'm able to charge more, and that's how I can get off that sort of hourly hamster wheel of just working hours, and actually selling an outcome to people. And then I immediately go on and say, and we have plenty of proof our programs work because that leads right into the before and after photos. These are gold, these before and after photos. So if you don't have these, get some, do whatever you can. You must be taking before and after photos of your clients. If you're not, do so immediately. Start doing it. I've heard before people say things like, well, My clients are kind of secretive, or they don't really want their photos taken, and they'll object to it. I mean, I've had venture capitalists, very, 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 very rich and public venture capitalists that I've worked with. I've had all kinds of entrepreneurs, business owners, lots of people who you would think wouldn't want their pictures taken. But when you're going along with your assessment, especially your initial assessment, you're doing measurements, and you mention to them you do photos, and then you go ahead and just follow along with it casually, and just like it's a part of your process, people will kind of usually fall in line with those things. You're the expert, and they're kind of handing over control to you at that point. So most of the time, they're going to fall in line. They're just going to let you take the photos. And you don't tell them you're going to take the photos to use them for before and afters later. You tell them, if they ask, oh, no, don't worry, I don't show these to anybody. They're just for our uses only internally to track your progress, because you look at yourself every day in the mirror and it's hard for you to tell or to see changes when they happen. So this is really just to measure progress. And that's initially what it is for. But eventually, if they make a great transformation, you want to go public with it, that's a different conversation you have at a different time. But until they make a transformation, the only thing you need to worry about is just taking the photos. Get the evidence, get the visual evidence on your iPad or your phone or whatever it is that you use to take the photos with. So just do that initially. Most people will not object. If they do object, you say, this is just for our internal use only, to take photos for progress. I'm not going to be posting them on social media. I'm not going to be posting them anywhere. Again, it's just for our use internally, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to then say, okay, fine, let's take the photos. Trust me, this girl was not happy about taking photos. You can see her face there. She was not stoked about taking that photo, but it was very powerful for her to see that image then later to help motivate her to lose as much weight as she was, and she was happy as a clam in this photo. So get these photos, whatever you have to do, start taking them now. You can see what we did with ours. A lot of strategic things going on with these before and after photos. We do add the actual some stats that make sense. So body fat here, waist, body fat and number of pounds lost here, body fat, waist here, body fat and weight here, because those are the most significant statistics for those different transformations. Also, a couple of really subtle things going on here. The photo here, the before photo, as you can see, a little bit smaller and further away, because this is a guy, and guys tend to want to look more muscular and bigger and stuff. We want him to look more lean, but we also want him to look more jacked. So in the after photo, you can see it's a little bit larger, and it's on top of the other one. So that pulls it up to the forefront a little bit more, so your eye focuses there. But also, when you look from that photo to this photo, he's going to look bigger and more jacked. The opposite effect on here, although with the girl, we make this back one a little bigger, and we make this top one a little bit smaller. So it kind of creates that visual of that she's even smaller than she might even really be. And then the opposite here of this photo in the back, it's a little bit further away in the distance. This one in the front, boom, catches your eye up front, a little bit larger, and he looks super jacked here. And then again, the same thing we got going on here. So little subtle things that you do in order to make the images look and pop that much more. And again, that really focuses your eye. What's going to focus your eye? The bigger photo here, right? That's on top. The on top photo, but again, slightly smaller because this is a weight loss transformation, and people are more interested in weight loss. Or I'm sorry, women are more interested in usually getting smaller than getting bigger. And then again here, larger on top, because guys want to get big and jacked. All right, added some text here about the specifics of the transformation if they're interested, but most people probably don't read that anyway. So it's there in case people are really interested, but for the most part, they probably just browse over it. Then another call to action in case so I don't want to make them go all the way back up to the top, because they're already going down. So they're in a habit, they're in this pattern of going down, down, down. So now I want to bring them to another call to action just in case they missed the first one. So after they saw this, after they saw these before and after photos, oh wow, here's another call of action. So in case I missed that one, I can boom, hit this, and it brings that pop-up right up again. And then if for some reason they're still not convinced after that call to action, they can go down, and then we have these 4 testimonials here. Now, because these are have as little visuals as possible in them. They're just text testimonials. They're at the bottom. And remember, when it comes to testimonials, this is what testimonials look like that are all text. Remember what we talked about with the eye. They sort of glazes over, it sort of shoots out, it doesn't know where to look specifically, and the odds of them reading all this text, and these are short testimonials even, but the odds of them reading this text is very unlikely, or reading all the text, unless they are very, very, very interested in working with you. But again, if they're cold traffic coming in off the web or through a Yelp review, they just don't know you well enough. They're just not that interested in you yet to read all your text. So don't think they will. Be intentional about what you want them to read. So don't do these all text testimonials because again, it just looks bad. It doesn't catch the eye, and it doesn't really make it as easy as possible to get your end result. If your end result is you want them to read the text so they schedule a session with you, then make it as easy as possible. Add these images to make it human, make it pop, and then go ahead and highlight the text either through underlining, or you could use different colors to showcase the text that you want. So here I'm showcasing training with Jackson helped me get down to 5% body fat. And they see this guy, wow, 5% body fat. And then because of information gaps, if you remember we talked about that, the human mind has to figure out all the information that's missing. If there's information missing, we have to fill in the gaps. We'll either make up that information or we'll search for it. In the case of a movie you're watching, a blog post, or a book you're reading, when they start in the middle of the story and they create that information gap, that causes you to want to continue reading the story. Or in the case of like if you're watching House of Cards or something, how do they get you to click to that next episode so quickly? They create a bunch of information gaps at the end. You know, what happens to Claire at the Russian summit? Or, you know, does Frank actually, you know, get in trouble with the law about pushing the girl in front of the train, or whatever the case is, right? They create this information gap where they insinuate you're going to find out what happens in the very next episode, and that drives your curiosity to the point that you just click the next button in order to figure it out because you want to fill in that gap. And then they do the same thing at the next episode and you click again. And they're training you to click to the next episode. That's what's happening there. Same thing here. They're going to read this, trained with Jackson, help me get down to 5% body fat. Now I create an information gap. He's like, wow, let me find out more. Like, well, how old is this guy? How long did he train for? He wants to fill in the rest of the gaps. So he's going to start reading the rest of the testimonial, and that's going to be even more enticing. Same thing. I've lost over 10 pounds and reduced my body fat by 5%. Oh, really? How long do they train for? What's her story? I want to know more. In less than 2 months, I've lost, and then it continues. And then they read the rest of the testimonial. Same thing here, same thing here. So again, with your testimonials, add images of the people next to it. I'm sure they will be fine with it. If they gave you the testimonial and they're happy to put their name to it, they're happy to put a picture to it. Okay? So, and it doesn't have to be a picture of their body, like all before and after, or all flexed out, or anything like that. It could just be a picture of their face. That's good enough. Because you have the testimonial, it's good enough. So get a professional photo of their face, put it next to it, and then highlight whichever text you want them to read. And this sort of one next to the other approach works really well because it fits the whole fold. So again, when we talk about the fold, we're talking about everything you see in the browser window right now. And 4 of these stacked next to each other fit really well in the browser window, as you can see. So if you stacked them on top of each other and there was a lot of white space, then you'd have to scroll through to see all 4. We don't want that. Once they come down here, everything in the fold, boom, 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 4 right in a row. Hit them with 4 at a time. That way they can see all of them, and they can see if they connect with one of the people there, if they look like one of the people there, if they tend to resonate with one of the people there, and then they'll read that testimonial. So you want to see all at the same time. And at the very bottom, I have the rest of my website. Meet Jackson Bloor, read the blog, if they want to find out more information about personal training, online coaching, or contact me directly. But everything on this site up until that point is getting them to click this button or getting them to click this button. So that's the breakdown. I used ClickFunnels to create this page. It's a drag and drop software. It works really well. in order to create great landing pages. It also gives me the statistics. That's how I know I converted 8% on this page. The other piece of software you can use is called Leadpages that does this exact same thing really well. And if you want to know how I found the template for this, what I did was I Googled best personal training like website or best personal training landing page, something like that. And then I found a link to a template that was on Leadpages where somebody had this template kind of outlined, and that's how I found this template, and that's how I ended up creating this whole website. So don't try to recreate the wheel. Success leaves clues. If there's something out there that works, utilize it. So again, it doesn't have to be this exact format, but this is a very, very highly converting one. It works really well. So I would really suggest you use something very similar to this. And again, Leadpages or ClickFunnels are going to be very easy for you to do. That way you don't have to really know the technology too well, and you can drag and drop and use the templates and then just plug in your images and the text that you want to use, and then you can schedule off this whole thing. So for example, what happens when I click this button, they put in their name, if they hit schedule my free session, that immediately takes them to a thank you page that has my online scheduler right there, that they click the link for my online scheduler, and then they can actually set up and select a time. So for me, it's very hands-off. I don't have to do anything in order to help them schedule their first session, and then once they schedule it, I get an email that tells me and a text message that says somebody scheduled an initial consult, and all I have to do is click confirm. And then once I click confirm, it sends them an email confirmation that says, thanks for scheduling. This is the outline. This is what we're going to do. Here's how to get there. Here's where the gym is located. Here's the address. Here's instructions. Here's where they park. And it walks them through everything that they need to know. So it's completely automated. So during New Year's, when I had like 10 people come in within that 2 weeks of the first of the year, all I had to do was click confirm on all of them. And then I just show up with the information that I already have about them. All right, that's it. Hope this was useful. If you have any